You're listening to the Run the Riot podcast, where we talk about all things ultra running. I'm your host, David Terrio, and man, I'm pumped that you are here. Let's see what we can get into today. All right, today on the Run the Riot podcast, we've got Lucia Leonard. How's it going, Lucia?
Hey, doing great. Thanks, David. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. Pretty fantastic. It's been a busy day. How's your day been?
Pretty busy as well. I've just been on the phones doing some work and just got back from the gym. So hence the sweaty look, but trying to lift heavy and do all those good things. So
we probably need to talk about that as we move along, because I enjoy my time at the gym. You know, we're runners, but I like to lift. Do you enjoy that? Do you like doing that stuff, or?
Yeah, I love it. I don't, whether it's good for me or not, I know it is, but it makes me feel strong. Like I always feel really like motivated and just, so like a high when I leave the gym. So I like doing it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, we like pushing ourselves running miles, but I also like when I can get a PR at the gym, bench press an extra 10 pounds or something, It's like,
yeah, for sure. No, very empowering.
No, that's good. That's good. So where are you right now?
Currently in sort of North Seattle. So
Okay.
nice part of Washington State. Beautiful. Never spent time in Seattle, but obviously been around Bigfoot. So been around Washington State before, and just love, like, the trees here are so massive, and every time you hit a trail, you're just like, oh wow, like just the king of the mountains and stuff. Yeah, it's just beautiful trees, and I love it. Yeah, great nature.
That's awesome. So we were kind of talking a little bit before, and I guess they originally became acquainted with Dion. Yeah, that was in 2018. We spent a whole lot of time on the Tahoe 200 together. And I remember, I just remember running with him and just getting to know him a little bit. You know how it is in races. You just find somebody, and he's got
hang out.
We're hanging out, suffering together, dying out there in the heat and filtering water. And then I remember him telling me, hey, what do you do? We were talking back and forth, and he told me, I forgot what he did before, but he says, well, my life has just changed a little bit. And he told me the story of Gobi and writing the book, Finding Gobi. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'd never heard of it at the time. And then a lot's happened since then, because everybody's just about heard of it since then. But it's been kind of neat how I met him. And then throughout different time and different races, met you. And were you at that race?
No, I wasn't at that race.
Okay.
The first time I saw you was Bigfoot 2021. He came and did the races himself in 2018. So he was screwed, as they call it. Or screwed. He was screwed.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wasn't sure, like, if you were there and I just didn't see you or anything like that. So the story could, I kind of kept it. I'd see him here and there, and we talk online a little bit, and then Bigfoot 2021. And I had a terrible mental race on that one. I didn't finish. And you, how did you do on it? I don't even remember.
Well, it was my first 200, and I got it done. I don't really care about the time, but I got just sub 90, so I scraped in just under 90 hours. So
nice.
That kind of turned into a goal when Dion met me at the last checkpoint and said, well, if you do 14-minute miles, you can do sub 90. And I'm just like, holy God, at the time. But obviously I cared enough to push on. So
well, that's a hard first 200 for sure, man. Cause that's Bigfoot is, it's a beast.
It is a beast. Yes. Yeah. But, and definitely I think, Moab and Tahoe are slightly under that in terms of technicality and effort required. But the divide that I just did just blew Bigfoot out of the water completely. So you don't want to do that at the first 200.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to get to that one. I want to hear all about that. So let's rewind a whole bunch. So obviously you're not from the United States of America.
No, I haven't picked up the twang just yet.
Yeah, you got the twang. That's right. So where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm a mixed bag. I'm a Dutch-born Aussie Brit. So yeah, born in Holland, raised in Australia from when I was 5, and then early 20s immigrated over to Europe, where we lived in England and Scotland for about 20 odd years. So yeah, very
Wow.
mixed bag, and now living in the US. So when people say, "Where are you from?" I'm like, Seattle
Just
today.
just pick a
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's because I mean I've been at different places in the United States and lived a few different states and all, but
Mhm.
not lived in different countries, that much. So yeah. Uh,
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting life anyway. I think become a bit of a, well, I always have been a bit of a gypsy, always moving around when we were younger, and it's just continued into my adult life. And I'm not sure if I'll ever settle down. And now the lifestyle we lead, we're in a place for like anywhere from a week to 6 weeks. So it's just getting worse. I don't know
yeah,
how I'll ever be able to put down roots, or if I want to, I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah, it's
So
crazy life.
is Seattle where you call home now? Is that home? Like, or where is home?
No, no, we don't have a fixed address. We have
Really?
yeah, we travel around, Airbnb. Last year we did, what did we do? 25 moves and 13 states, over the 12 months. So that's a
That's
lot of moving.
that is that I did not realize that. Like, wow,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
affects a lot of things. Like, where's your stuff?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's one suitcase each. So, if you want a new pair of jeans, then an old pair has to go. So it is pretty much living out of a suitcase. I mean, I like to unpack every time we get to an Airbnb, but Dion literally lives out of his suitcase, whereas I put all my stuff away, even if it's just for a week.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, we have one extra bag for shoes and one extra bag for race stuff, but generally
yeah.
everything is in a suitcase. So yeah,
That
minimalist living.
Yeah, and because I'm here, I'm at a house, we got all this stuff, and I'm always just like, we need to get rid of stuff. I want to simplify, and you guys, if that's pretty simple.
Yeah, let me add it. I'll sort you out.
Nice,
I'll
nice.
get everything listed on eBay and you'll be minimalist in no time.
Yeah, and my wife would kill you because she likes the things. uh, no,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So you guys yeah, I don't want to stay here too long because we got a lot of other things to talk about. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued here. What do you do? Like, do you guys just like rent vehicles? Do you have a vehicle that you're traveling around with? What do you have? What are you doing?
Yeah, we have our own vehicles, so Ford Expeditions, everything has
Okay,
to fit in the back.
okay,
And yeah, that's it. We just check into an Airbnb and then yeah, try and live a normal life. We do Airbnbs because at least you have a kitchen and a
hmm
backyard. But it's hard, in terms of training wise, consistency is really
yeah,
difficult because everyone's like, oh, that's great. You get new trails all the time. But you know what it's like when you go to a new trail, sometimes you're thinking, I'm going to go do a 10-mile run and I want to do 500 feet of vert. That's it. And you get to this trail and it's just not what you were thinking. Or
yeah,
you want trails and all you've got is river paths. Or,
yeah,
it's just your gym's 20 minutes away. Yeah, there's all
yeah,
sorts of challenges. You don't know where you are, where's safe, where's not. Like, yeah, there's
yeah,
all different things that
yeah.
go into that.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I really miss having like a running club. I think I've lost a
hmm.
lot of speed because I don't get to go to a weekly speed session or run with people that are faster than me. So yeah, I
Yeah.
really miss that part of it too. So
Oh
yeah,
man. Well,
yeah.
you guys just have to come stay in Oklahoma a little while, and we'll all go run. Have you been to
Yeah.
have you been to Oklahoma yet?
We've driven through part of it, but haven't actually been to stay.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe the next school year we'll head back over the East Coast and find our way through there.
Yeah. What about? So I'm originally from South Louisiana. Have you guys been in South Louisiana much?
We have spent a lot of time in Louisiana.
All right.
Our
What
car,
parts?
our car is registered in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Well, I
Uh,
noticed your number was a 337 number and
yes,
that's yeah, and I was like, that's
yeah,
Lafayette. What's up with that? That's
yeah.
that's where I moved from. I was in Lafayette, Louisiana before I
No
moved to
way.
here to Oklahoma. Yeah, yeah, that's my old stomping grounds. Yeah,
Oh wow, yeah. No, we've done a lot of time down there. So yeah, New Orleans, Lafayette, Lake Charles,
yeah.
yeah, all around there.
So my wife and I had she's from here in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, but our first date was in Lake Charles, Louisiana, at
Oh, wow.
Steamboat Bill's, the Cajun restaurant. I'm sure you guys
Oh,
have
yes.
eaten all
Yeah.
the good places. No, that's so cool. That makes sense
Yeah.
though. I remember when my running buddies from Lafayette, they said, "Hey, they posted a picture of Finding Gobi, and they said the author's going to be at the Lafayette Library talking." I was like, "I know him."
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was like, "How is he in Lafayette, Louisiana?" So that makes sense. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we end up in some really random places in the US, I tell you. So
Yeah, that's so
you
good.
name it, we've probably been there, some random town.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when did you start? Because I started, of course, when I'm going to have somebody on the podcast, I kind of look at social media a little bit. I get on Ultra Sign Up and I start looking at, the races you've done. And so when did you start running? I see what's on Ultra Sign Up, but when did you start doing this crazy thing we do?
Well, we got married in 2005, so I kind of got into fitness at that point, to lose weight. I was like 200 pounds, size 20.
Okay.
Yeah, couldn't run around the block, just loved food, loved alcohol, loved all
Yeah.
the bad food too. Not good food, I love bad food.
Yeah.
Bad for you. So I started getting into it then, and yeah, sort of, you know, developed into running a block, walking a block, and yeah, just eventually signed up to a 10K race, which, felt like Mount Everest to me. It was just the
Yeah.
biggest thing ever. I thought, oh, I'm going to come dead last. I'm going to be the laughing stock. And, I just had an absolute blast out there. And, it was one of those big city 10K things where there's thousands of people. And it was just such an adrenaline buzz. And I didn't come last, it wouldn't have mattered if I had. But yeah, I just had a great time. And yeah, from there kind of thought maybe I could do a half marathon. I'd been losing some weight. So, I was starting to enjoy this, and yeah, did my first half and then thought, well, why don't I try a full marathon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just twice as much.
Yeah. So I think that was 2010 was my first marathon. And at that point I was running alongside a pacer trying to get that 3 hours 30, I think, which I didn't make. It ended up being 4 hours. But
Yeah.
he was wearing a shirt that said something about 100K, some race he'd run. And I was just like, I said to him, what's 100K? He's like, oh, it's just a race I ran. And I'm like, what? Who runs that kind of distance? That's ridiculous. But I think that kind of planted a seed. And yeah, later on, a couple of years later, Dion actually bought me a book for my birthday, which was the world's toughest endurance challenges. And yeah, we'd had a few too many drinks, and he jokingly said, open the book up and the first thing your finger falls on, we'll go and do it. And it was the Kalahari Ohabi's Extreme Marathon, which is a multi-stage race, 155 miles across the South African desert, up in northwest South Africa, fully self-sufficient, so carrying all your food and kit for the week in a bag, sleeping mat, sleeping out every night, running a marathon a day, and one day you run 2 marathons, so 155 miles over the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went out there and just had an absolute blast. Like that, just met, like it was all cheesy beforehand. They're saying, oh, well, everyone turns into your family and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, right. And get there, and it's true. Like everyone became our family. We were invited to people's homes in different countries, and we were having people over in ours in Edinburgh where we were living. And it was just such a fabulous experience. And, coming from the fat girl from back in my 20s and teens to running an ultra, I was just like, wow, it just motivated me and empowered me, that I was like, wow, like I've done this. Like
That's
it was
awesome.
Amazing. I needed to get another adrenaline buzz like that. So that's, what it's like, your first one and you're hooked. So yeah.
Drank the Kool-Aid. It's all, Oh man. Well, you can imagine, because even just, you run, just running even a 50K or 100K or 100 miler, you end up suffering, you run and suffer with people, and you get to know them, and you build relationships, and, through those things. And in the 200s, it's even more. So I can imagine a multi-day stage race, you're suffering every day, and then, sleeping at night, and you just, you get to know, there's something about suffering with people that you just get, it bonds you.
It does. And it's a really great leveler, when you do these races. And, I was used to manage hotels, so I was just hospitality, never been to university. I'm just an average sort of intellect person, and you're at these races and you're hanging out with scientists and lawyers and,
Yeah.
just all these people. But at the end of the day, when we're all suffering, there is no difference between anyone. Like, we are all equal and we're all in it together. And yeah, I really love that. Whether you're young, you're old, you're male, female,
Yeah.
color of the skin, nothing matters. It's all, you're in it together. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the amazing things. That's why it's always cool, when you're running together, find out, like you said, you run with people who have all these stories. And for some reason, when it's 2:00 in the morning and you're you're tired, you share all the things, it's like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. What gets says on trail stays on trail. There's some people's secrets I've been told. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you told me that. But okay.
I have done that too. Side eye, like, oh, I wouldn't have said that. Yeah. Oh man. No, that's good. So was that yours and Dion's? Was it your first ultra experience? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
First ultra together, and which was kind of amazing to do it together. We both went from fat to fit, and just kind of created this love of ultra running. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. So you guys have been really like adventuring from the get-go. What year was that stage race?
So that would have been 2013.
Okay.
So
Okay.
ultras for about 11 years now, which
nice
in the scheme of things is a long time, but compared to some, it's barely a drop in the ocean. But yeah.
This is kind of a neat thing. That's 2013 was when I did my first ultra. I did a 100-miler. It was December of 2013. So I've been doing them about the same time you guys.
Just as long.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was in South Louisiana, 100-miler in South Louisiana, just north of Lafayette.
That would have been flat.
Yeah, it had some punchy up and down stuff,
Okay.
some kind of rooty, gnarly trails. So yeah, and muddy. So, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys did that, drank the Kool-Aid, enjoyed it, I guess, as we do, you not always at the time. And then, so what happened from there? Cause I noticed, like, I'm looking here and I see, you're kind of jumping it. Whoa. Marathon des Sables. I didn't notice that one earlier. Is that the next big one you guys did?
Yeah. Yes, why not? Go large or go home. But we thought we had all the kit from Kalahari.
Yeah.
And Kalahari was based on MDS, so Marathon des Sables. The race director for Kalahari had done Marathon des Sables and wanted to do the same style race in South Africa. So exactly the same format and, same self-sufficiency, all the same rules. So we thought, well, we've got all the kit now, so we might as well go and do Marathon des Sables. We headed out there, and I think it was a little deceiving too, because we'd done the Kalahari and it was only a small field of runners. I think there was 50 runners, 60 runners, and Dion actually came 6th overall, which was phenomenal. And I came 2nd female, which, nice. First ultra, and you're on the podium. It's oh, okay, maybe I'm good at this stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's a small field.
That's right.
Let's just go to Marathon des Sables, and then you'll get kicked in the guts over and over, and you'll realize that actually you've got a bit of work to do, love.
That's good. Yeah.
The field, I think I ended up like 370th or something in that one. So that was a bit of an awakening.
And 250K. So you guys really jumped in the deep end, with I thought I did because my first ultra was 100 miles, but you guys are jumping into a little bit deeper than that. That's pretty awesome. So that one with all those people, that many people, how was it different from the first?
Well, it was quite overwhelming. There was, I think the year we did it was probably around 1,100 runners. So it was a big deal.
Wow.
You're sleeping out, big bivouacs they set up. So and a lot of professional, like people that look like they know what they're doing. I really felt a lot of imposter syndrome as well. Just little old me out there thinking she can run an ultra marathon across the Sahara Desert, and you're seeing all these sponsored athletes, and they've got all the gear, and they have all the idea too. I had all the gear, just no idea, and you sort of learn baptism by fire. So it was quite overwhelming. And I think I went there thinking I could do okay. And yeah, it just every day, the desert just slammed you down, and it was so hot, and the sand and sandstorms and lack of sleep that you're having. It was, you know, just a really rough week, but also once again just so amazing because you're out there in this unique place in the Sahara Desert and
Yeah.
surrounded by amazing people. And yeah, even though I'd finished where I didn't think I would, I was just captivated. And you know, Dion was so captivated by it, he really wanted to go back. He signed up for the next year. I needed a year away from it, and I went back the year after.
Yeah.
It was yeah, we kind of fell into the multi-stage racing for a few years, and we were living in Europe, so it was living in Edinburgh and Scotland. So I was really getting into like the mountain races and traveling over to like France and, you know, the Spanish islands and signing up for some crazy ascent sort of races over there. And I learned quickly you need to look at elevation profiles.
Yeah. Not just
you go
distance.
to a race. Yeah. My first mountain ultra was the Trans Gran Canaria 125k, and I think it has something like 7,500 meters, which is like, you know, 23,000 feet or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I just went there thinking, oh yeah, 125k. Well, I've done 100k in 11 hours. Oh yeah, I'll be done in like 15 hours.
Piece of cake.
Yeah. Nearly didn't make it before cutoff. You know, I was chasing cutoffs.
Oh man.
Well,
with you guys, like so the first stage races and stuff, how did you, you know, you're new to this, you know, at least the first one. How did you train? How did you train for the first one as opposed to how you train for the second one?
Yeah, well, the first one really was, I mean, back then as well. I mean, we're talking back in the day, you know, there wasn't so much resources on the internet, you know, we didn't have all these great podcasts like yours that you could say, okay, let's listen to some people that have run the race and get some ideas. So really it was, connected to a few people that had run Marathon des Sables and someone that had run Kalahari before. And just kind of got an idea of what to expect. Went to some random ultra running store out in the Lakes District in the UK. And the couple that ran the store had run MDS a couple of times. So we literally went there with our credit card and said, right, just sell us everything that we need.
Nice.
Yeah, just stock it up. Come on.
That's good.
And yeah, I mean, the training wise, we were just running stupid miles, trying to just, you know, run as much as we could.
Yeah.
And definitely like going for Marathon des Sables the second time, like going in for the second multi-stage race, we were a lot more focused in terms of, you know, thinking about back-to-back runs. So looking at, you know, 20 miles, 10 miles. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Training with your pack, so getting used to that weight and building it up. I started going to CrossFit because I found during the first multi-stage, it wasn't my legs that were causing me grief, it was my shoulders from carrying that damn heavy bag. So I was like, oh, how am I going to fix that? Okay, I need to get stronger. And actually doing some heat training as well. So yeah, we ended up setting up our spare room as a heat chamber. We had like 3 fan force heaters in there, treadmill. Edinburgh in winter, you have to train. So yeah, we cranked that up, and you know, it would have been 85, 90 degrees in our spare room. And I'm sure the neighbors upstairs loved it because they would have had underfloor heating.
That's so great. It's crazy the things that we do to train, you know, sitting in saunas or running in a sauna that you make yourself, sleeping in altitude tents or doing the random things or whatever. It's just kind of back to back suffering long runs, but you figure it out, you know, you just kind of, all right, let's figure out how to do this and do a little better.
Exactly. And then Edinburgh was on the beach as well, so we'd go down and run in the dunes. I remember one day doing 20 miles on the beach with my pack, literally just running half a mile up, half a mile back until I hit 20 miles. Like, people just thought I was crazy, but it was like, well, it's soft sand, I need to practice in soft sand.
Okay, I need to tell a lot of people to listen to this podcast so they hear that, because they're always like, you ran so this much on a treadmill or this much. Like, look, I wasn't wearing a pack running a half a mile up and down the beach. But so what do you think drew you guys to this? I mean, okay, because people, you know, a lot of people listening, they run ultras and stuff, but there's some people that are just dipping their toe in it and they're hearing They did what? You know, like a heated room and running in the same, like, what do you think was the driving factor behind getting you, you know, both of you to do that, or just make you get up
Yeah.
and train every day? What was it?
Well, different things for different people.
Hmm.
Dion's super competitive. So
Okay.
for him, he doesn't enjoy running. He's not necessarily, it's changing now, but he's not necessarily doing it for the adventure and the experience. That's more what he's
Hmm.
doing it for now. But
Yeah.
back then, for him, it was about winning. He
Mm.
realized he was quite good at it. So the more he trained, the better he did, and the more times he could get on the podium. So that was his driving force. And
Gotcha.
for me, it was completely different because for me, I was always the fat girl at school. I didn't
Mm.
like sports. I used to forge notes from my parents to get out of sports class. Like, I hated it. I was out the back behind the bike shed smoking cigarettes and hanging out with the boys up to
Yeah.
no good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of a, I don't know, just a real empowerment thing for me, like just amazing myself. And
Hmm.
it was making me a better person. I just felt more confidence. Like,
Yeah.
I'd never had so much confidence before since I started doing ultra running. Like, it literally made me feel invincible. So that was driving me
Mm.
to be getting up and doing the training because I wanted to go to the races and, you know, feel like I'd done better. Obviously, it's really hard to compare times or
Yeah. Yeah.
anything to different races, but you know in yourself whether you've performed better than the last race you did. So
Mm.
yeah, for me it was all about that, just having those incremental things. It was also keeping the weight off so I could still eat what I wanted and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a win-win for me. Yeah, I just felt that amazing high from it. Yeah, just
Yeah.
wanted more of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that about Dion, because I'm transitioning right now from, because I used to be competitive, and then now I'm kind of more. I'm in a, like when I did the Moab 240 in October, last October,
Hmm.
I was more of, I want to embrace it and be present and gratitude and you know, and I still want to do well and not chase
Yeah.
cutoffs and all that, but it was more about the experience. And I think it's because I'm getting older and breaking down a little bit, but it was a fantastic experience. And so I'm transitioning to that. And but it's like at the end of the day, I still ran 240 miles, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, I pushed myself and did it, you know?
Yeah, which is absolutely epic. And that's the thing. Dion is literally just landed in China this morning and he's off to do the Gobi 400K. And he's going there with exactly what you're saying, gratitude for being
Mm,
out in that amazing desert, his whole full circle of his story with Gobi. And,
mm.
you know, for him, yes, he still wants to finish the race as quickly as he possibly
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
And I'm sure he'll still do really well, but he's not worried about being on the podium or,
Mm.
you know, he's got his own little goals, but he's out there for the experience. And ultimately, just to finish will be, you know, the winning award there. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it changes over time, maybe every race. I don't know, we're all at different stages in our lives and
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Well, you know, it still blows my mind the things that we're capable of. You know, to think that he's going to run just 400K in the desert.
Yeah.
you know, like it's amazing what our bodies are capable of, and that we can push ourselves, and that we can continue to do those things. And that's what I love. Somebody. My mom would, you know, why do you want to go further? You've already done 100 miles. It's like, well, I feel like I can. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's more in the tank, and I want to push myself, you know. And I like the challenge and the whole figuring out, like you said, the puzzle of, you know, when you're like, what works and what doesn't work, and how can I train better, and just all the things. It's fun.
Yeah, and it's weird because you know, I always like before a race I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm really looking forward to getting to that point where I'm at my lowest of lows, where the tears come and I'm questioning life choices, questioning ultra running. But then when you get there, like I got to that in my last race, and you know, I'm thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to the gym, do body pump, and run 5Ks moving forward. And I got to that point and I thought, hang on a minute, this is where you wanted to be. You're
Yeah.
here. This is where
Yeah.
you wanted to be. So embrace it. Like, this is the suffering you wanted.
I'm
But I
glad
don't
I'm
know
not.
why we want it.
I'm glad what you said is exactly it. Like, this is stupid. This is my last race. I'm just going to work out. I'm going to get jacked. I'm going to get some big
Yeah.
bicep. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to focus on that, and I'm just going to jog, you know, whatever. And that's, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't last, does it? I think even before I'd crossed the finish line, I was already thinking, oh, okay, what's next? You
Yeah,
know,
what's
and
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I don't know, we're just sadists or something. I don't know, but it makes
Yeah.
you feel alive, you know, when you've got that suffering and yeah, you're at the bottom and you're having to figure your way back out of it.
Yeah.
That's yeah, when
Yeah.
you're truly testing your resilience and yeah, love it.
Well, when you think about it, we by and large, and this is just a blanket statement, but we're pretty fortunate. Most of us, we have pretty easy lives. As you know, when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you look at history, when people were suffering every day to survive, and
Yeah.
we've got, and so we don't have that daily challenging ourselves, and so like we manufacture it, like
Yeah.
we're not tested every day to that extent, and so we go in the mountains and the deserts and we test ourselves,
Yeah.
there's something about us that we I guess maybe not everybody, but that we need that we want that we want to prove to ourselves that there's some things in here that can come out.
Yeah. And I think like everyone should, you know, not necessarily have to run an ultra, but they need to run what is an ultra to them, or
Yeah.
you know, do what's tough and have that
Yes.
suffering. It doesn't have to be running 100 miles. It can be, you know, rowing across the lake in their local park. I don't know what it is, but it has to be something that tests you and makes
Yes.
you question yourself. And yeah, without that, you know, I guess that's the problem with a lot of people out in the world these days, is that they're not tested and everything's just easy. Like you said, we've all got food, warm bed, clothing.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
it,
yeah,
it gives perspective, like, and that's sort of, running has given me, like, when life does throw something hard at me, I think about suffering, at the
yeah.
Tahoe 200 or Moab, whatever. And it's like, all right, I know I can get through it, because I've
Hmm.
gotten through some tough stuff. I know there's some things like inside of me I can draw upon to push me through whatever's going on in my life. So there's a bleed over there. That's, I find
Yeah,
out, I know who I am, more of who I am now.
yeah, definitely. You made it tough stuff.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Well, so you guys, yeah, this is cool because I didn't know this. Knowing both of you, I didn't know you guys kind of started the journey together and that you've been doing all these things. And so, I'm looking at your ultra sign up, and there's so much here. But if we fast forward a little bit, and like, how did you guys decide who got to do what? Like, like when Dion came and did the Tahoe, if you're both running, like, why didn't you get to come with him? What's up with that?
yeah. Well, it was his idea first, you know, so I can't
he's,
steal it.
he's like, dibs, it's mine. You can't come. Nice.
Yeah. Whereas Western States was a different thing because he got in first year and here I am 6 years later still applying. So, you know, sometimes it's not who had the idea first, but who gets in first. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But
That,
no, I mean, I like doing the mountains more than he does.
okay.
He likes deserts. So,
Huh.
in some respects, we kind of went different ways with different races.
Yeah.
But yeah, other things like the 200s. And once he'd done it, like he said to me, you have to do this because it
Yeah.
is life changing. You know, we thought Marathon des Sables was life changing, but doing the 200s, it just completely, like you said, changes your perspective. And yeah, he says, you got to do it. So yeah, it took me a few years to get there, but eventually I decided to do it too. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
let's talk about that a little bit because we don't have a whole lot of stage races. There aren't a whole lot of stage races here in the States. But
Mhm.
so you did these stage races, and then when you did your first 200, or even Dion, like what? Because some people treat it as a stage race. They say, "Well, I got to run 50 miles a day," and they kind of rest,
Yeah.
or they do that. And you can do that, with that mindset. But what was it that was different, about the structure of just 200 miles as opposed to that kind of drew you to it?
Yeah, well, I guess it was that challenge of seeing how much faster you could do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
with the stage race, you're restricted. You can only do the distance prescribed every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we were doing those, you were finding you don't sleep at night anyway. It's noisy, you're uncomfortable, you know, people are faffing around, your tent falls down, you know, a
Yeah.
sandstorm will come in. So it was interesting to sort of think, well, you don't sleep anyway, and you're eating all this, you know, dehydrated food and stuff. Yeah, it was like, well, maybe the stage races would be different, and be interesting to see how far you could push yourself. And yeah, that was, yeah, it was just attraction because it was so far as well. I guess it was a new distance,
Yeah.
200 is the new 100 was the terminology.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was just kind of being in that elite group of people, the very small percentile of human beings that attempt and do these things. I think that was a big draw card as well, that it was, because we'd been doing multi-stages, you tell your friends, they're like, oh yeah, whatever, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then when you said, no, I'm going to go do 200 miles non-stop through the mountains with bears and mountain lions, and then they sit up and take notice again. They go, oh, you're doing what? Are you crazy? It's like, you've got to have a new level of crazy every time,
Yeah.
Bar higher.
up the ante there. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, the good thing about these 200s though, as opposed to stage race, you said, you're eating dehydrated food, carrying your own stuff, is what one of the things that I loved about Tahoe and Moab is, like, I can get to these aid stations and I can eat a hamburger, a cheeseburger at every single one of them. And it's good.
Yeah, you could actually put on weight during these races if you tried.
Yeah, you could. Oh,
the food is so good, especially at Destination Trail. I mean, cheeseburgers, hash browns, hot dogs. Oh, just amazing.
Yeah. It's and really by the end, it probably, I don't even know if it really is good. You're just so constantly hungry and tired of, I don't know, sucking on gels and tailwind and stuff. You just want food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, so Dion came in, he did Tahoe and, got to share that. And then, so I'm looking, and you came and so you decided you were going to do Bigfoot for your first 200. And that was, I didn't realize that when we got the starting line together there, that was going to be your first 200. And so, did you at any point during that, did you think you made a mistake?
Well, no, I think the beauty of doing something for the first time is you don't know how awfully painful it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of in, ignorant bliss. So I think, during that one, I had no doubts that I was going to keep going. Like, there were moments of suffering, of course, but I had a lot of moments of joy and just loving it out there, because that course is so beautiful.
Well, and it's beautiful. But that year it was a little warmer it was hotter than usual. It was hot, and then we had the smoke. There was smoke from the fires that year too. So that was tough. That added some junk to it. But I mean, I still have pictures that I swapped my background on my phone from Bigfoot from there. Just amazing. Going through the blast zone of Mount St. Helen. Like, what?
Yeah. Just the views. I mean, every time we reached a peak, I was just blown away by how stunningly beautiful it was and how isolated you were. Like, you felt like you were a pioneer out there. I think at one point I went for 8 hours without seeing a soul. It was checkpoint to checkpoint. I didn't see anyone.
Yeah.
So that was just, phenomenal to feel like you were out there all alone, like out in the wild, but you were safe. I felt comfortable with that. And I think for me, I didn't have any moments of doubt. I just knew I had to just get to the finish. And
just kept moving.
I think after you've done one, what happens, and your mind starts to play tricks on you. And I think it becomes almost harder in a way. Yeah, you'd rather go back to that naivety of not knowing.
Yeah, because I agree. I agree. So and it's hard to explain to people, because you just said, you spent 8 hours by yourself, pushing forward in your head. Like, what when people ask you, what do you think about, or what goes through your mind during those times? What do you tell them?
It's a lot of different things. I mean, sometimes it's about yourself. It's about just thinking about the process that you're on and the journey that you're on. But other times when I am really suffering, I'm drawing on other stuff. Like, I'm drawing on my friends that are following me. I know they're watching that dot. I know they're sending me text messages, even though my phone's off. Like, I know that I've got Instagram followers that are, they message me to say they're inspired by what I do, and they love watching me achieve these things, and it inspires them to do things. So I'm thinking about them as well. And,
Mm.
I want to do it for them. I'm thinking about the people I coach. How can I coach people if I can't finish the race myself?
Yeah.
I've got to set an example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's all of those things. It's even about the haters as well. It's I want to prove people wrong. If people think, oh, you can't do that, it's like, oh, I can.
That's
Watch
right.
me.
That was my first 100, because they had some people. I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish this thing if it kills me, because I'll show you.
Yeah. It's and sometimes it's for the other people. At Moab, I had a crew. At Divide, I had Leah, who's from Oklahoma, actually. She was my only crew. And, just getting to the checkpoints for them, because they've taken a week out of their life to fly out, sit in a stinky car for 4 or 5 days and support me. I can't quit because they're there, that it's cost them a lot of time and money away from family. And I can't just be like saying, oh, bugger it, let's go to the pub or something. It's it's thinking about those people as well. That's a big thing, especially if you've got paces and things. They're out there wanting their own experience too, so you're going to ruin it for them if you pull out. So all different things drive me at different points.
Do you listen to music or audiobooks or anything while you're doing some of these races?
No, strangely, I mean, at the gym, I love listening to music, and if I'm running on the road, definitely pop in some tunes. But during these races, I try, and I'll think, right, I'm in a low, I'm going to put some tunes on that pump me up normally, and I'll put it on, and I'm just like, oh, it's so annoying. Like, I want to hear what's out there. I want to listen to my footsteps and my breathing, and I want to talk to other people if I see another runner, and if they've got headphones on, you're like, oh, hello, hi. You want to have a chat for a minute? So, it annoys me. I don't know. It's like this white noise or something.
I always have it. And I have run races where I've listened to a whole book, but for the most part, if I don't start with it, I put it in, and it same thing. I'll just get like, this is annoying. And I'll just like, I'm done. Whatever. I'll just run. No.
Yeah. I know. It's strange that.
Yeah. And I think like when I did Moab, I just spent a lot of time, like I said, wanting to be in the moment and gratitude, and it was, I don't know, it just makes it more special. Like, we get to do this. And so let's embrace this stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to hear if there's a bear coming up behind you.
That's true. That's
kind of helps.
Yeah. Well, so you got through Bigfoot. How did your body respond to it? You hadn't talked a whole lot about like when you went through Bigfoot, like blisters, how was soreness? Like what was your physical suffering like?
It was strangely, I got blisters because normally, touch wood, I don't get blisters. But Bigfoot, I decided to change shoes at a certain point into a half a size bigger, preempting the foot swelling. But I didn't have any foot swelling, so that then caused blisters. So that was a dumb move. So I had blisters to deal with, and post race, I remember I'd finished like 3 or so in the morning. So Dion got me showered and into bed, and then the next day, like, I needed to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, because Dion was already up, I'm like, I can't get out of bed. I can't stand up.
I like the way you said Dion got me showered and he like tucked you into bed.
Yeah, because I was incapable at that point. He'd actually put a plastic chair in the shower so I could sit there fully clothed and slowly disrobe and then just get myself into bed after that. But I couldn't, I was too scared to stand up after Bigfoot. Like I felt like I didn't have any muscles. I didn't know what was happening. So he literally had to like a baby sort of pull me up, like my first steps. And, once I got moving, I was okay. But foot swelling like I'd never seen before. Just Lucia, so painful. Your skin was stretching. Ugh.
This is not a good advertisement for the 200s, Lucia.
Oh yeah. Disclaimer, it is not attractive.
That's right.
It is not glamorous.
Yeah, all the pictures you see, you know, the great pictures and the mountains and everything. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
that's
our
why we take pictures of that, not of ourselves. Yeah.
Look at our feet after you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's disgraceful. Plus a bit of chafing, and you know, it's always it looks like you've been beaten up a little bit. So
Yeah.
but not too bad. I mean, I guess I was walking properly a few days later, and probably back out running a few short miles after that. But it definitely took a few weeks to recover, and more mentally than physically, I think, because you have to go into your own basement, your own deep place, and I think that takes a bit more to recover from than the physical aspect. Yeah.
And you know, our physical and mental, they're so tied together, because you are mentally tired, lack of sleep, all the things, and having to push and having to focus and all that, but then your body's tired, so it affects your brain, and just all of that needs to recover. And at the same time, you're dealing with, I don't know, the post-race blues, like you finally accomplished this big thing you've been working toward, and then you're like, okay, why am I alive? You know, it's like, what now?
Yeah. But it feels kind of flat, because you kind of finish these races, and you know, you kind of expect that you're going to be like yahooing and like, yeah, let's celebrate, like I'm so excited, but you're kind of like, oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just fatigue or what, but you're just like, nah, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm numb, just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Pretty much like everything was, because everything is focused, you know, like in your spare time, you're training and all that, now it's done, and you're like, which is great, and you're excited, you know, I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, but then it's like, okay, I got my buckle.
And
I have
and the whole last week was all about you. You know, if you had crew or whoever, friends, the whole week was about you, and now it's not. It's like, oh, okay, we're just all right.
Well, you're waiting for the pictures to come in so you could upload those, and you get another little boost, you know, like, get the pictures. Yeah, I remember that. And then after that, it's like, okay, all right. So, all right, we're good.
Back to work. Okay.
Exactly. No. So when did you start? Okay. Cause I wanted to ask you about this. When did you start coaching? When did you realize, like, you know, you're running these races and stuff. And so when did you start doing that?
That was probably, like, when did I start? Probably 2016, 17.
Okay.
So I'd done a few multi-stages and a few ultras, and I had more friends sort of saying to me, oh, would you coach me? And I'm like, I don't know how to coach. Like, what? What's that all about? I can give you some advice of what I've done, but so I thought, oh, actually, you know, maybe there's something in it, because I really enjoy helping people. I was like leading some run clubs and involved with Jog Scotland, and there was a group over there called Women Run Strong. So I was, you know, working with people and taking people out for runs, and I was running Edinburgh run tours as well on the side. So I was taking tourists out for runs, and so I thought, I should maybe do my qualifications. So on the side, because I was managing a hotel, so I was doing some online study, and eventually got my certificate, and then just started picking up some clients that weren't just friends, you know. Word started to spread, and I just find I've kind of picked up a bit of a niche more with the longer distance, but still, you know, I've got a few people doing first 50Ks or first 100Ks, and I love, you know, building people up. Like, there's one lady I've been coaching since probably that she was my friend, and you know, I coached her for her first 50K, and she did her first 100-mile the other year at Javelina, and it's like, now I'm winking at her like, oh, 200 200 next. She's like, you're just dangerous to hang around with.
That's right. Well, you know, give them a little bit at a time until they well, and it's funny, that's kind of my story too, because I was doing the podcast, and people were asking, you know, hey, would you coach me, would you help me, and so I went and got a certificate, you know, went and got certification and started doing it, and it's fun. Like, it's work, but then it's fun. Like, this week I've got two guys that are going to be running their first 100 at Arkansas Traveler 100.
Oh, awesome.
And so I had their calls, and we're talking about what's going on in their heads and what to expect. And I love that, you know, like, and I'm going to get I'm leaving tomorrow night to go be there. And, you know, it's fun to get to be a part of helping other people to experience what we've experienced, and realize, like, I love that people realize that there's enough inside of them to even ask, like, do you think I could run 100 miles? And,
Mhm.
like, yeah, let's do it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's really satisfying, isn't it? And yeah, just to see the accomplishments, it feels fantastic. I love it
yeah.
too.
Yeah. So you fell in love with the 200s, and like as you did all three of you did Bigfoot, you did Moab. Yeah, you've been through them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
And
was supposed to do the Triple Crown in 21, but the fires cancelled Tahoe. So that kind
yeah.
of ruined my plans there. And then the following year, 22, I went to do Tahoe, and I'd had COVID 6 weeks before, so I DNF'd because I couldn't breathe. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't the best idea. So
Yeah.
then 23, I had to go back and finish it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I did.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was
And
a 3-year process.
yeah. Well, and it's been kind of neat watching these 200s, and now there's a lottery for them, to get in.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get into them, and you're like, what in the world? But now it's like, just like the hundreds, it used to be hard to find hundreds, and now there's a bunch, and we're starting to have a lot more 200s pop up all over the place. And
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool, that to have some options and get to go suffer in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, for me, ultra running's always been about traveling somewhere to
Yes.
experience something new,
Yeah.
a different culture, a different wilderness. Like, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fantastic way. And 200s and hundreds, you're out in places most average, normal people don't get to go because it's so remote. So, yeah, you get to see some unique things.
That's exactly you took the words out of my mouth. I tell people, like, I get to go places that, like, very few people have gone, and
Yeah.
it's just part of a race. So I get to go somewhere I've never been, experience places most people haven't, and really just dive into that environment, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you've done all the races in the Triple Crown, and then now the Divide 200. I don't know a whole lot about it except that it's up north. And so tell me about what drew you to it. I guess kind of the same thing, the draw to do something new and different.
Yeah, well, initially I was going to do Cocodona this
Okay.
year, and I'd been sick. I was suffering with, just always, I think from having COVID, my immune system hadn't been good. So I kept getting sick. So Dion was like, don't sign up. There's still plenty of spots available, there's 50 spots available. And kind of got to February, and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to feel better, And he's like, yeah, we'll just sign up in April. We might as well, we'll keep the money in our bank instead of Jamil's.
Yeah.
Gets to like April sometime, and yeah, my friend messaged me. She's like, did you end up signing up? And I'm like, no. She's like, it's sold out. I'm like, what? Like, there were 50 spots. I've been checking it every day religiously because, like, in my head I was doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had their permitting changed on them, so I was now 74th on the wait list, and I was like, what am I going to do with my year? Like, that was my thing.
Yeah.
So I started looking around, and I didn't. Well, you couldn't get into the destination trail anyway, but I've done those. I didn't want to do them again. And so for me, it was either Oregon 200 or the Divide 200, both newish races that only done their first year. And I picked the Divide because it had 40,000 feet of climbing as opposed to 20,000 feet. So I thought, great.
Let's do the harder one.
Yeah, let's do the harder one. And I've never run a race in Canada, so I thought, great, do a race in Canada. That'll be fantastic. And yeah, and luckily I did. I mean, the Oregon one got cancelled, unfortunately, with fires. So that was very sad. Yeah, so I guess, luck would have it that I'd signed up for the hardest one.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Divide is in Canada. It's about 2 hours south of Calgary in the Rocky Mountains. So you're starting at Castle Mountain Resort and all up around Crow's Nest, and beautiful, beautiful part of the world.
So I coached a runner from up near, not too far from there, to do his first 50K for his 50th birthday, and he would send me pictures of where he was training, and I was like, dude, I hate you. It's just so beautiful. Like, and, I don't see anything like this unless I fly far, and he's like in his backyard. It's just beautiful mountains and pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure once you signed up, you're pretty excited about it to go, Yeah. jump
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And because it was only the second year this year,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of information out there. I listened to every podcast I could, which was probably three,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and one
Yeah.
of them's Mika, who's doing it in like 58 hours, so completely
Yeah.
different runner to
Yeah. Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think someone else had won the men's. It was like, okay, there's just not a lot of information, a couple of blogs and yeah, a couple
Yeah.
of like videos around, but yeah, it was yeah, there wasn't a lot to sort of go on. So yeah,
Mm.
just looking at the course, the elevation, listening to that, trying to figure out how long I think it would take me. And yeah, I kind of remember hearing if you make it to the first 70K, so sort of 40 miles, and you're feeling fresh, you're good. And I
Yeah.
got to that point feeling like I'd already done 200 miles. So I was like, oh,
I guess I'm bad. I'm not
yeah.
good.
I mean, it was like nothing else. The trails were just so technical, and
Really?
the ascents were like 35% grade. Just the run to the first checkpoint was the only easy part of the race. That was brilliant.
That's wow.
From there, you were either up or you were down, and just yeah, it was all climbing up. You're so tired that you're trying to have a rest, but there was no flat section to rest on. You were just your calf strained, you're leaning on your poles, and yeah, it was just rocky and shaly and technical, and my feet were beat up by checkpoint 3, 40 miles in. But
Wow.
my feet have never been that beat up. But you were going down 35% grade on shale. You were like sliding and smashing into rocks, and it was just really tough. And you're on these beautiful ridge lines. I mean, I had to take a minute to sort of look around, because I'm like, I'm really suffering, and we're only 12 hours in here. This is going to be tough. It's just so beautiful up there, but sheer drop-offs, and you just think, if I slip here, you're gone. Like you are well gone.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just so slow going. I'm normally solid middle of the pack runner. That's where I see myself. And by the time I was getting into checkpoint 3, I was 40 minutes close to cutoff. And
oh wow.
yeah, I left there at 4 a.m., which was cutoff time. I think they relaxed it a little and let a couple more runners go. But to me, I was like, I'm essentially dead last here. Like, I've never been dead last in a race. Like, I am back of the pack, which, I mean, technically I was still middle of the pack because people had dropped. But, I was just like, I'm last.
That'll mess with your head. Which you're not used to that, Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and normally I'm comfortable. I'm thinking, yep, I'm suffering, but I could have a sleep for 6 hours at a checkpoint. It'll be fine. I've got I'm a day ahead of the cutoffs normally with the destination trails.
Yeah.
So, if worse comes to worse, I'll just sleep overnight. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I had 40 minutes. Like, I can't even have a sleep. Like, I have to go.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was just, I had to dig from day one afternoon till the very finish line, because it was just a struggle against the elements. The weather came in on day 2, which just changed it completely, because perhaps there were some runnable sections later on in the race, but they became unrunnable because of all the mud and all the water. So it was just like, let's just kick you while you're down, because it was a struggle fest. And it was lonely. There were only 86 runners that started. I think about 50 finished.
Wow.
So over 200 miles, you're very spread out. The first night I was completely on my own, and there's grizzly bears there. You start to see the bear scat, and I'm comfortable with black bears. I've seen black bears. I've seen their scat. Now I'm seeing scat that is, as wide as my chest. And it is big, and you're just thinking, what size animal is that coming out of? Like, and I'm out here all alone in the dark. It's just like, this is crazy. I need to start hooking up with some people, because I think I'm going to die out here. It's mental. And with the weather just came in. I'd actually seen a grizzly bear before I got to checkpoint 8 along the way. It was in the distance. It was
Yeah.
lovely. You know, it was a guy pointed it out because I was actually busy looking at Gaia going, where the hell is this checkpoint? Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for a checkpoint. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, did you see the bear behind us? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he'd pointed that out. And then that's when the weather got really bad after that. And I hooked up with some people and I was going through a section there, and I had my first ever like near death experience on the trail. It was slick, rainy, muddy. We were on like this single track trail on a ridge, and I'd hooked up with a girl and her pacer, luckily, and yeah, I was following them. They got through this corner, and as I went through there, I slipped and I fell like literally off the cliff, but I managed to like grab onto some bushes and I just screamed. And, you know, it's pitch dark. I could feel my legs just dangling into the abyss.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm just thinking I could feel like the shrubbery grass I was hanging onto just sort of like loosening. I'm just like, oh, somebody help me. And luckily, Jesse, the pacer, he came back and like wedged himself in the mud and the grass. And he literally, because I had lecky poles, so I was like, you know,
Yeah.
strapped
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I couldn't grab his hand, and so he had to grab my elbow and like literally like throw me up onto the grass.
Oh, wow.
And it was, you know, I was just thinking, this is, imagine if I'd fallen down there, what would have happened? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talked about it afterwards with Dion because they'd given us spot trackers, but he's like, well, if you'd press the SOS, who was coming? Is that the helicopter? Is that the race organization? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, well, maybe you should have asked. I'm like, well, I didn't think I needed to.
Yeah, right.
You know?
We're becoming a little too comfortable with all these rugged races, I guess, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a real awakening to sort of think, wow, you know, we are putting our lives on the line out there. You know, that was something else. And we were still a good hour and a half off getting to the checkpoint. So by the time I got there, I was, you know, close to hypothermic. And Dion was there with Gobi to surprise me. He wasn't supposed to be there until the next morning. And I think that was just the surprise I needed, because I think that might have been it for me at that point. You know, I was scared out of my wits and freezing cold, and it was just, the weather was set to stay.
How many miles were you in when that happened?
So checkpoint 8, we were probably, I want to say 120 or something.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So a fair way in. And I remember a guy at the checkpoint, Rob, he just looked at me. He's like, oh, he goes, I know you're really suffering, but trust me, I live around here. You've been through the worst of it. Like, don't quit. Just
nice.
Promise me you're not going to quit. I'm just like, looked at him like, I'm not promising you Jack at the moment.
Yeah.
But I saw him again later on. He was pacing someone and I caught up to them and he's like, wow. He's like, look at you. He's like, I thought you might have dropped out.
Nice.
Here you are. So yeah, that was great. But that was probably the lowest point I've ever had during a race. And I really struggled with the race because I went into it wanting to be joyful and, you know, show gratitude. And, you know, it'd been a long summer. I really wanted to have this adventure to, you know, make my summer. And here I was out there just thinking, I'm not even having fun right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm really questioning what the hell I'm doing out here. So it was a tough course, and you know, everyone was suffering. It was I mean, with the dropout rate there, and I think the weather just made it so much worse. And it was a very isolated. I know a lot of the checkpoints just had snack food as well, so it was really difficult to stay, you know, on top of your nutrition. And so you're going like 30-40 miles without proper food, you know.
Where's my burger?
I can't live on an Oreo.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's it. Well, what's the cutoff for the Divide 200? What's the final
so
cutoff?
it's 100 hours. So it's tough.
No kidding.
I think I was just under 96 hours.
Wow.
You know, and for me, that's cutting it close.
That is. Yeah. You have a bad section and it's gone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, really tough course. I mean, they're strict with who they let in as well. Like
Mm,
they are vetting people, so a
okay.
bit different to destination trails. Because I mean, you
Yeah.
could be a 5K runner and sign up for Bigfoot, and
Yeah.
as long as you get in the lottery, you're going. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Brian Gallant, he's the race director. He does actually check through who's applied,
Okay.
and he'll question if you've got the experience or not. And it doesn't necessarily have to be you've run 200s or hundreds, but you need to do some hiking or, show some level of mountain experience. So,
Yeah.
yeah, at least the people he's got going to the race, yeah, essentially are deemed fit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
So you went into Divide, yeah, having done some hundreds already. What has been, because I get asked this all the time, and I love to ask it. What is normally like you're going into 100, whether it be Tahoe, Bigfoot, Divide, Moab, whatever. What do you do? What do you plan as far as sleeping? Like, do you have a plan, or do you just like, when I'm tired, I sleep, or what do you do?
Yeah, for this one, because I had Leah crewing me, so for me, I wanted to sleep in the car. At the destination trail races, I was happy to trail nap because the wild animals didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But at this one, I didn't quite fancy sleeping with the grizzlies. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm quite comfortable in the wild, but that was a step too far. So for me, I kind of had a plan for this one. The other races have always been just sleep when you're ready. And if you're not feeling it, just keep going. But
Okay.
for this one, I was like, okay, I want to sleep at checkpoint 3 when I see Leah, but I couldn't because I was too close to cut off. So that
Yeah.
had to wait till checkpoint 4. And yeah, then pretty much every time I saw her, after a long stretch, I would take a sleep. So I ended up having 3 proper sleeps in the back of the car.
How,
Yeah, which
how long of what's a proper sleep for you? How long is that usually?
uh, so I had 2 lots of 1 hour and
Okay.
one lot of 40 minutes. So two
Okay.
hours 40. And yeah, I'd said to Leah, because she was sitting in the front of the car, I'm like, okay, give me an hour. But if you hear me like shuffling around, like just wake me up and let's just go. I'm
Yeah.
obviously not sleeping.
Yeah.
But she was like, oh, the second you laid down, you started snoring. So
Yeah,
each and every time she was
yeah,
like, there was no shuffling around. I was like, oh, right.
that's good. That's when because like for Moab, the first night I planned for 3 hours each night.
Hmm.
First night I slept an hour, actually 45 minutes, and I was good. Like, let's go, and I took off.
Yeah.
Second night it was about 2 hours, and then I was good. Let's go. The third night the alarm went off after 3 hours, and I was like, I would like to sleep some more, but I guess I gotta go. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's so bizarre, isn't it? I remember in Tahoe last year, it had 45 minutes and my alarm went off and I was just like, where am I? What's going on? What am I doing? Why am I in the car?
Yeah, that's right. It's so weird.
And then it dawns on you, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, okay.
I
I've
got to
got to
get
get
back out
up.
there
Yeah,
and go out there. It's cold.
yeah, yeah. I'm just staying here.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I remember this one time at Tahoe that year that I ran with Dion. I remember standing and seeing other people's lights, and I should have slept before. I was delirious, and I was like, "Why are these people out here? Why am I out here? Like, what is happening?" It was bad. And I ended up.
Yeah.
I think that a little bit after that, Mika came, and that's when I met her. And
Uh-huh.
we ended up running together. She said, "Can we run together a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So we ran together. We ran together a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
It.
company definitely helps that the hallucinations and the
Yeah.
feeling of yeah, where the hell am I? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. It just gives you something else to focus on. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so you got the divide done. Your biggest. So would you say that was your biggest challenge to date?
Well, yes and no. It's the biggest challenge I've finished because I
Okay.
actually went out to Tour de Gens last year and
I did.
DNF'd that.
I didn't know that.
So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So how was
So
that?
well, that's even tougher than the divide. So it's like,
Okay.
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've heard it's tough, and I've heard like everybody, oh, Turtles a TDJ, TDG, whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I mean, absolutely stunning part of the world.
Mm,
I lived in Chamonix for a couple of years, so I know like the French side quite well. But being in the US and, living in places like Louisiana, I'd kind of lost my Alps experience.
Right. It's a little different.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I went out there, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. There was a lot of life stress going on. So that didn't help. Lots of travel, visa issues and stuff. And got to the race and I wasn't used to the sheer vertigo. And, I was in tears on the first climb, just thinking, wow, whoa, that's like really steep. I remember I was on like my bum, like going down the other side, just crying. And then like these Italian mountain bikers come past with the bikes on their shoulder. And I'm just like, oh Lord, this is so embarrassing. Yeah. I'm like out of my depth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of realized quickly. I mean, I think I got 70 miles in and I was at cutoff and I was done. It was like, wow, what a lot of work to do to get back to that race.
Do you plan on going back to it? Trying to?
Yeah, there's some DNFs that you just like, yeah, whatever, that just wasn't meant to be. But then there's some that just sit on your chest and you're like, I have to go back. I've got that one and I've got Hurt 100 in Hawaii. That's
nice.
Like, I've got to tick those off, they matter.
Yeah, I understand.
To me.
I understand. There are some you can just like whatever, but some you got unfinished business. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that one just beautiful. Really tough though. Like you think of destination trails and you're getting cheeseburgers and hash browns and all that good food. You go to the Italian races, which I'd sort of forgotten as well. It'd been 6 years since I'd been there, and the food just isn't the same. It's dried up bits of baguette that have been sat out in the sun all day, some dried up salami. It might be all right if you're the front runners, you're getting all the fresh bread and cheese, but for us, middle and back of the pack, it's all been sat out there, and every checkpoint has the same food. And it's pretty difficult to stomach. So yeah, I think I need to be better prepared. So I did that better at Divide because I'd heard the food wasn't great in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, I planned better. I packed chicken salad, croissant sandwiches. I had apple juices with me.
Nice.
Like I was ready, and that really paid off because I couldn't survive just on Oreos. So I think if anyone's going to do the Divide, just make sure you're packing a lunchbox for the in-betweens.
No. And one of the things about the 200s as opposed to like 100s, I guess you could do it on, I don't know, Tailwind and gels and stuff, but man, you gotta eat real food, food and like eat.
Because 100 miles, for me, I'm anywhere from 26 to 30 hours, but you're done in technically a day. So I guess you can kind of eat a bit of rubbish and just get through, but the 200s, you're out there for 3, 4, 5 days. Like you need something a bit more substantial than gels. Well, I think so anyway. That's
same. At least unless you're like some of the speedy ones, but whatever, I'm not finishing in 48 hours, so I need food.
And even Courtney DeWalter's eating quesadillas along the way, so
exactly So you've done so many races and stuff, and I didn't realize it until I called up your Ultra sign up and stuff. But I don't know, it's just fun to hear people's journeys and all. And then I'm looking because Ultra sign up shows what you've signed up for, and because I guess everybody's crazy now, and 200s are the new 100. Now Candace decides to go out, and there's an Arizona Monster 300. And Lucia's like, I'm in.
Why not?
Why not? So you started training yet? It's in April.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
I was back at the gym today. So, I thought it was a very expensive week because I actually signed up for the Divide and the Monster the same week. So Dion was less than impressed with my credit card statement.
So you're going back to the Divide then?
No, for the Divide this year, the one I just did.
Okay, the one you okay, I got you. They just okay.
An Arizona Monster, he was like, it's not going to sell out. There's like 300 spots. I'm like, it is going to sell out. Trust me. And I think it sold out in 6 days. So I'm glad I signed up. But waitlist is like 300 deep or something. I clicked on it when I saw it on your thing, and I was like, there are 362 entrants. That's crazy. Yeah.
And I
guess
about
the same on the wait list.
What?
It's, yeah,
We're all ridiculous. I don't
we are. Yeah.
know. Well, I remember remember when they were doing the California Untamed, the
Oh,
331,
yes.
and I had him
Yeah.
on the podcast. I was so excited, and my wife's like, she
Mhm.
kept looking at me like, no, and I'm like, yeah. You know, we can wear them down, because at first she was like no for the Tahoe 200, and after a while I wore her down and I got to go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was disappointed that didn't happen. But then Arizona Monster, that's
Yeah.
it looks tough. I mean, it's going to be kind of, it looks awesome though.
Yeah, well, it's going to be tough in so many different ways because it's 300 miles with 40,000 feet. So divide with 40,000 feet for 200 miles.
Yeah,
So there's some sections that are quite flat too. Like there's a 30-mile section in Tucson where you're on the river path, like on bitumen. So
yeah,
on concrete. So that's going to be tough in another way because you're running flat on
yeah,
hard ground for 30 miles. So,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you're doing mountains and you're in Arizona. So the heat, I mean, even in April, it could be, in the 90s,
yeah.
but could be freezing at night. So, yeah, there's so many different elements to take into account. Plus, you're doing 300 miles. So
Yeah.
that's quite a long way.
Yeah. And I'm thinking
So,
of like, Moab plus another, 60.
yeah.
Okay. Huh. All right.
Yeah. Wow. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I did during the divide, I was thinking, I wonder what the refund policy on that is.
Yeah. Uh, it'll just,
But no, I'm doing it.
yeah. And you got more time to do it, more time built in.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun adventure. So I guess if you're doing that next year, then it's going to be the next year you do Cocodona.
Yeah. Yes.
Dion's going to
Yeah.
listen. He's going to like, shut up. Don't encourage her. She's, yeah.
Well, he's actually on the wait list for Cocodona too, because it sold out far too quickly.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
he was umming and ahhing about it, and I'm like, you should sign up. It's going to sell out, and he's like, no, it'll be fine. Yeah, so he's now like 67th on the wait list.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to get some extra spots permitting. I think they're trying to get that back, so maybe it'll clear up. Who knows? The good thing with the wait list is at least you have an option. He could get back from this Gobi race and be like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then at least he hasn't paid for a race. But that's the hard thing now with all these ballots, and you kind of have to decide. And it's over 12 months away before you're doing the race. Like, you don't know where you're going to be living or what's going on with life. It's
It's hard. Well,
it's
like
tough.
I was in for the High Lonesome this year, and it was already paid for. And I had knee surgery, and 3 months before, and I couldn't get a refund. So I was like, I'm gonna go give it a shot. And I ended up having to drop because my knee decided to not work. And but I was like, I paid for it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go try. But that's you just don't know. You just don't know. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Oh man.
We like to support the race directive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, so yeah, this has been fun. This has been great. Good to because we've seen each other at Bigfoot and online and stuff. But it's been good hearing part of you guys' story. And listen, let's after Arizona Monster, let's plan on getting you here again so we can hear about Arizona Monster. It'd be fun.
Yeah, there should be some stories from that. So
I'm sure there'll be some good stories on that. But
yeah.
But if people want to follow you, I'll put the links in the show notes. But you have a website, you got social media. Where do you want people to follow you?
Yeah, well, probably most prolific on Instagram. So Running Dutchie, that's where I put most of my stuff. And yeah, my website is runningdutchie.org.
Nice.
But it all links back from Instagram. So yeah, check me out on there and give me a follow. I'll follow you back. And
all right.
Yeah.
All right. And if you need a coach, you decide you want to be crazy and with us and run some long distances, she's another coach, and she does that too. So jump on there.
Yeah, there's plenty of us out there, but yeah, if you want to have a chat, then yeah, let me know. Happy to take on some more willing people to go and smash some challenges.
There you go. If you want to coach with a cool accent too. So
oh yeah. Oh, that's always fun too. Like some of the things I say, people are like, I had to Google what you said because I wasn't sure what that was. You can just ask.
you said a few things on the pod, like while we were talking, and I was like, okay, oh, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. But well, you've been in South Louisiana, and so I used to talk like this and like that, and some of the people that have the strong accent, that's how I used to talk when I was little. But now I speak a little bit better, but not much. But yeah. Uh,
No, we
uh,
love the Southern drawl.
yeah, yeah. Well, Lucia, it's been great chatting with you. I need to. Is there a way to follow Dion? Do they have any while he's on his
Yeah,
adventure?
they will be tracking.
Okay.
So on his Facebook page, Dion Leonard, Ultrarunner,
Okay.
I'll be putting a link up there, and I'll share it on my Instagram stories and stuff as well. So I'll be
Okay.
trying to do some posts along the way and
Cool.
keep people informed. Hopefully, I'll get some photos from the organisers. So
Yeah.
yeah, they
Good. Good. Yeah. I want to.
they start Sunday. So yeah,
Nice.
should
All
be
right.
good.
I'll be checking him out, following him along too. So, well, hey, thanks
Yeah.
so much for your time, and it's been fun getting to know you more, and hopefully we'll talk again before too long.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on. And yeah, it was great to chat.